Hi everyone, and welcome to Yarnspirations. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at the textured crochet floor pillow. Now I'm using Bernat Mix Home in the In the Clouds colorway and a US L11 or 8mm hook, or the size needed to obtain gauge, and you can get all the information on what you'll need by clicking on the description below and downloading the free pattern. So let's get started looking at the stitches you'll need to make this fabulous textured pillow. Now I have made you a nice long swatch so you can see all the different yarns that come up when you use the Bernat Mix Home. And the stitching itself is very simple. The yarn does all the work. But we're going to do a half double crochet, and it's also called a half double crochet in the third loop, but we're just telling you half double crochet in horizontal bar created below stitch in previous row. So let's take a really close look at this. Normally when you are stitching along, you're going to work under both legs of the stitch, or we'll call that the V oftentimes, and normally you would go under here to make your stitch. But to do this one, you're going to go from bottom to top in this horizontal bar that is below the V of the stitch. So I've done my chain 2 at the beginning of the row. I'm going to yarn over for my half double crochet, and my chain 2 is going to replace that first stitch, as it so often does with the taller stitches. So now again, instead of going here, I'm going to go here, bottom to top, under just one leg, one loop. Yarn over, pull through all three. So yarn over, bottom towards the top, under that one leg or loop, and it is not one of the two in the top. So you will often see this abbreviated as half double crochet in the third bar, or in the horizontal bar like we said it. So yarn over, not the stitch, not the two legs of the stitch, but the one that is toward you and slightly below. So let's take a look at, so what that does, this is the other side of the work. So here's the stitch that is normally there. What it does is it pushes it towards one side, and it gives you this horizontal, almost looks like a chain stitch. But that is one of the things that gives texture, and of course it looks different in every one of the yarns. This one's my favorite, that is used in the Bernat Mix Home. So that's really all there is to it. When you get to the last stitch, you're just going to work your last half double crochet in the top of that chain 2 like you normally would. I make sure I pick up one loop, and I tend to pick it up in the back. But it's that same row over and over. Turn in chain 2, half double crochet across in the bar below the top of the stitch. I'm going to take a very brief look at the back. Now, all you need to do is chain 8, and for the first row you're going to single crochet in the second chain from hook and in each chain across, turn in chain 1, and then we're going to do single crochet in the back loop only. Now I know we have used this skill many times in the Yarnspirations video, so this is just a quick reminder. All you're going to do is work in the back loop. So skip the front loop, work in the back loop, and you're going to do that until your piece measures 36 inches or 91.5 centimeters, slightly stretched, because we do want it to pull back a little bit. So you don't want to go crazy pulling it when you measure. So by slightly stretched, I mean just this. Give it just the least little tug, because you want it to snap back so that the opening is nice and tight. But so you don't want to pull it way out like crazy though, because then it'll pull in too much. So that is what my single crochet in back loop only looks like. And to move forward, we're going to turn the work and work along the edge. So we have done a chain 2 And it says work 90 double crochet or half double crochet evenly across side of ribbing. I'm obviously not going to make 90, but I want to talk, let's see if we can get a little closer. I want to talk about where to put your hook because a lot of people are intimidated by that. I do not like to put my hook here because it's only under one loop and I don't find that very sturdy. So I look to get it under a couple of loops, just because I think it makes it more sturdy. Now what you're going to do, and it's okay if it comes in a little bit, as long as you're internally consistent across. So the easiest way to figure out how I'm going to put those 90 stitches in, let's just take a closer look at this. You see how I'm going? It's almost in the top of that stitch. And what will happen is you will develop a rhythm. But like I said, I do like to avoid that little one loop guy right there because I just think it makes the stitch not as durable. So you're going to work all the way across until you have all your half double crochet. See how they're worked way down into there. So that's going to be nice and sturdy. Even if there's pressure on there, I'm not going to have any gaps. And then at that point, you're going to continue with the half double crochet in the horizontal bar the same way that we did for the front. So we don't need to go over that again. What I want to talk about is figuring out how many stitches you need to get in there. The first thing I like to do is count the number of rows. So it's telling me I have to put in 90 stitches. If I have 90 rows, easy enough. One stitch on the end of every row. If I have fewer rows than I do stitches that I need, then every so often I'm going to have to put 2 stitches in one spot. And if I have more stitches, more rows than I need stitches, then every so often I am going to need to skip a row and not put a stitch on the side of it. What I like to do if I have a big piece is use a locking stitch marker and mark the halfway point. Now for this, I think a halfway point is perfect. If I was doing an enormous piece like a shawl or something, I mark quarters. But what I would do is take a locking stitch marker, put it halfway across the width, and then instead of trying to fudge 90 stitches across the width, then you're doing 45 up to the marker and 45 after the marker. And what this avoids, a lot of times if we're trying to do the whole width, then we're off. When we get to the end, it's a little fiddly. We're either squishing in a whole bunch of stitches that we need or eliminating a whole bunch of stitches that we need. So by marking the item into quarters or halves, you can get your stitches where they belong, and if you can do your adjustments all the way across the full width, you don't have to try and do it all in the last 2 inches of your work. Anyway, that's all there is to the textured crochet floor pillow. Thank you for joining us here on Yarnspirations. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny stuff, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon.